All right, that was nice. I had some nice thoughts there. It's great to actually read what you wrote and really process the moment. So I wrote something deep, so I'm just kind of getting through it. So, anyways, we are here today, and again, I was blessed to talk with you guys. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is actually I have a question for you guys, and I like to have interaction in our conversation. So if there is, we have a chat room here, and I would love to see some of the responses. And one of the things I wanted to ask is, what's the biggest tip you guys ever gave? You could throw a dollar amount. I'd love to see that. What's the biggest tip that you ever gave? And then with that thought, think, why did I give that big of a tip? What was it that I felt at that moment that I had to give, or that I wanted to give such a tip? $200, $100. What was the biggest tip you guys received? If for those of you that were lucky enough to work in customer service as our first jobs, my first job out of high school, this is in the 90s, I was a bellman at a hotel, at a really cool, awesome beachfront hotel. It's called the Mandalay Beach Resort. And if you guys ever have a chance to come out here in Oxnard, California, I was just there 2 weeks ago in an oceanfront room celebrating my daughter's 9th birthday. And it brought me memories, and that's why I wanted to share this little story. I was a bellman there for about 2 years, and there's two moments where I received some of the biggest tips of my life. One was for $180. The other one was for $200. And the two occasions were, one, it was during the World Cup of soccer that was being held in Southern California, in Pasadena, I think. And we were hosting one of the national teams. I think it was the football team of Cameroon. And they showed up at the hotel with 2 buses full of equipment, gear, and so forth. And I was the only one on schedule. It was I don't know what happened, but I was the only one there. And I ended up unloading that and taking all their luggage and everything to their room. And at the end, the coach comes out and he gives me an autographed soccer ball with all the players of everyone that was on that bus, and along with a $200 tip. And that was the first tip that I ever received that was that huge. I wasn't expecting anything like that, but I was hustling. I was running up and down with the carts, going up the elevators, and it took me a good hour to get all that stuff out in the room. The second occasion was I was maybe 5 minutes away from ending my shift. It was probably like 11 o'clock at night, and a tour bus comes, and I get a call with our walkie-talkie. It says, "Hey, we have some bus up front. You guys need to unload it. Can you stay an extra half hour?" So I said, "Sure." I go out there, and you could tell it was a band. I didn't know who it was, but a gentleman came out, and you could tell they were relaxing in the bus. They probably had a long trip, and they just wanted to get to their rooms. So I took care of them as far as directing them to their rooms, and then I took all their luggage out. And at the end, I go to they had a big suite, and I delivered the last portion of it. And the gentleman comes out, and he says, "Man, you worked your butt off." And I go, "Thank you." And I wasn't expecting anything. I was going to turn around, and he gives me a $185 tip. Little did I know that was the Grateful Dead. And it was Jerry Garcia who gave me that $185 tip. I didn't realize, I knew who the Grateful Dead was, but I wasn't really in sync with the music and how much of an impact they had. But a couple years later, Jerry Garcia passed away. And that is when I knew who that person was and the opportunity that I had. Too bad we didn't have, these iPhones here where I could have taken a selfie if I would have known. But those two are memorable moments for me because it's not just the fact that I received a $185 tip and a $200 one, but those are great stories to back that memory. The memory was that, you know, customer service is something that really resonates in our business, not just in our business, but in any industry. It's in our DNA to help other people. It really is. And it's funny, you even see movies that are maybe throwback movies, like, for example, Back to the Future, that scene when he goes back in time and he sees that gas station and the car pulls up and that whole team runs around and they handle the air pressure, the gas, the windshield, and so forth. That's an amazing spectacle to see, of the care that the business is doing to take care of that customer, to make sure they feel that they're getting the most from that experience, right? Looking back, there's an art to customer service. And I wanted to share some items with you guys that I think are part of the whole philosophy of customer service. And I wanted to go down the list. So if you have a pen, you could write this stuff down. And I'll start with the persuasive speaking skills. Think of the most persuasive speakers in our organization, and I don't think we have to mention names. I think we all know. But persuasion is long been recognized as an important sales skill. But it can also be invaluable for your customers, for your customer service. Every day, we as agents, we turn problems into solutions, and fair weather customers into loyal clients. You know, that's what we do. We're leaders. So make sure you speak confidently, stay positive, and more importantly, just offer the kind of compelling arguments that lead to conversions. You know, we go through this every day, guys. And I think for those that, you know, no matter what scale of or time you are in your career, whether you're beginning or you're seasoned, the more conversations you have, for some reason, things start really clicking and start making sense when you're having these conversations. You know, the customer service mentality is really the holy grail of business in general. It's one that you have to have, and it seems like it has the power to reveal all the secrets of success. You know, it's providing flawless service, but it's not easy. It's not easy because sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we're dealing with emotions, and emotions is a big deal with how we handle that. And at the end of the day, that client's going to remember not the dollar amount, not the actual product, but the experience. That is going to define how, if they will continue with you for future business, for future homes, for referral business. It's all about the customer service skills. The other thing I want you guys to write down is empathy. And that is something that we have heavily talked about, especially the last 12 months of what our country has gone through. No list of good customer service skills is complete without empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's emotion or to understand their point of view. And, you know, how is empathy as important as a service skill? Why is it that important? Because it has to do with emotions. Emotions are more important sometimes than facts. It's plain and simple, you know? I think when you look at emotions, everything that we've gone through, I remember during the short sale period back around 12 years ago. And that was a highly emotional period for our industry. And dealing with all the families that were either losing their homes or didn't know what to do, and you coaching them through the short sale process. That was a moment that for many of us that were able to be in the industry during that time, I'm sure it added a good notch on our stripes, on our shoulder of how we treat customers and how we treat people in general. Whenever you see people that are in need and they are looking for you towards leadership, naturally it comes out what we have to do. And I think most of us here would agree that the dollar is not what motivates us to help, especially during those types of events. We want to help, we want to provide the leadership and make sure they feel that they are not in that element of danger anymore. So empathy is a really important one. Clear communication skills. It's really important. Our company, our culture is based on communication. You know, this may seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many clients struggle to communicate with agents it goes both ways. And I think there's a stat that I read on the DRE where I think it's 33% of clients say that efficiently answering questions is the most important skill that a real estate agent can have. So whenever you get caught in those situations where you are asked a question and you mumble around, you lose focus, or you're using unclear language, that can be a source of many dissatisfied client experiences. So when you find yourself doing that, we as agents, we can be, the most empathetic. We could be professional. We could be positive people in the business, but they also must be able to communicate well with the client. So clear communication is one of what I call a trait of customer service. Patience is another one. Keeping your cool. Keeping your cool is critical to great customer service. And patience makes doing hard things like talking down irate clients even harder. But it also impedes your enjoyment of life. You realize that this person's anger has little to do with you, but that you have the chance to turn their day and their problem into something positive. And that is a success. Those are the moments that client will remember throughout the whole transaction. And those are the good wins. That feels good. When you go home at the end of the day, that's the best feeling ever. Effective listening. All of us could do our jobs better by teaching ourselves how to listen. Listening skills are about, turning up the volume on the headset, which I do a lot. It's about taking the time to truly understand customers' issues and then letting them know you're paying attention. Repeat and reaffirm. That's one of the things we teach here at Everest. Often simply rephrasing the issue in your own words and asking the client if that sounds right is enough to make them feel that you really understand them. That goes a long way. That is at the core of how we communicate with our clients, effective listening. One thing I've learned recently, especially being coached with Everest in the last year and a half, is time management. Time management might not sound like it's part of the customer service, but it is. We could all use more time, we could. Unfortunately, the most limited resource any of us have is time. So all we can do is effectively manage our schedules. So what happens when you're interrupted? It's easy to get flustered. It's easy to get frustrated. And it's tempting to let the phone ring a few more times or let an email sit in an inbox a little longer. But doing so is bad. It's bad news. There's another NAR stat that states, I think it was 80% or so of online inquiries will take their business elsewhere if they aren't helped within 5 minutes. So if you put a client on the back burner, even for a few minutes, it may cost you a sale, a commission check. Instead, why don't we make quick response times a priority? Streamline systems. So updating customer information and response is quick and easy. And let's make sure we have plenty of time in the day to complete those tasks. So you aren't having to choose between helping clients and fulfilling their own responsibilities or our own responsibilities. Scheduling is key. It's key. Knowledge is another one. The training that we offer at Everest is by far the best I have ever seen in my 25 plus years. We talk about having the right tools. One of those tools is basic knowledge about your profession. If you aren't up to date with company policies, industry news, loan practices, property specs, and how the purchasing process works, you won't be able to answer your clients' questions effectively. That's important. The last one, the ability to admit you don't have an answer. That one took me a while. But, clients themselves, they arm themselves with knowledge in this day and age with the internet. It's generally, they love, especially the millennials. I think there was one stat, I think it must have been 39% or so, that stated that millennials, before they even ask the question, they check online. They check online first. And if that doesn't solve the issue, they eventually call you, believe it or not. They send an email, contact you via social media, through Messenger. They seek assistance through some other channel, whatever it may be. But while they may be embarrassed with the client that knows more than the agent, I mean, I don't think I think I've felt that a couple of times, but that was more than enough to change my ways, if you know what I mean. And it's always encouraging, if you don't have an answer to the question, instead, just let them know, you know what? I don't have an answer, but I'm going to find out for you. That's customer service at the core. So in closing, gang, I wanted to talk about this and just explore. And as we explore this customer service thing, it really comes down to, it's what makes us human. You know, we want to help. It's in our DNA. And at the end of the day, the dollar isn't what motivates us. It's the opportunity to help others. It's the opportunity to take care of others. And at the end of the day, feel for ourselves that we made a difference in a person's life, whether it be one or whether it be 500. I don't know if you guys remember a recent commercial. It might have been a Super Bowl commercial where it starts off with someone walking down the street, you know, typical Main Street USA. And they see an old lady trying to cross the street with some bags, and the gentleman runs and helps her. And he's helping her. And while he's doing that, there's someone across the street that catches that good deed. And then that person's walking and sees a kid that is, you know, taking home a bag of groceries, and the bag breaks. And that gentleman goes and picks up and helps the kid. And then someone sees that, and then it keeps on going. It keeps on going. It keeps on going. It's the domino effect. I've mentioned that before. The domino effect is contagious, and the more we take care of people, the more we look beyond our umbrella, our hat of being a realtor and just being a good human being. That is what makes customer service. That's in our DNA. And I'll end with one last thing, and this is the one that helps me get through it all. Treat everyone the way you would want people to treat your mom. That's all I have to say. So I hope you guys take a light of that. I hope that makes a difference, and you could apply that to your own day-to-day. And if you could go out there and create that domino effect, go do it. Go do it, and just smile whenever you walk away. All right.